Do you think that Andrew has questions to answer? We did have a statement, didn't we, where he said that the minute that he knew that there were suspicions about this spy, he ceased all contact. But there are questions about his finances, how he has paid to stay at Royal Lodge. What questions is he facing, and do you think he should come as clean as he possibly can?
Well, he was taking people. We need to know who are on these trips as a special representative. I mean, I've been trying for 4 years to get access through freedom of information requests to basically the files. I mean, extensive files. It should now be in the Public Records Office about these trips. They're all closed, or they pretend they don't exist. But, various people were being taken on these trips, particularly a businessman called David Rowlands, who he's basically in business with. I mean, Rowlands claims that he is a financial advisor to Andrew. And he was being allowed to put in his own meetings on these trips, which were meant to promote British trade, not the Rowlands business interests, and having meetings, for example, with the ambassador in China. That's totally wrong. Andrew seems to have eased the wheels on a whole series of Rowland initiatives, including setting up banks in the Middle East, off the back of this work as a special trade envoy. He's also been entertaining businessmen at Buckingham Palace and St James's Palace, not really ostensibly to promote British trade, but actually more often it seems to be to promote Andrew's own interests.
So, the way you're talking there, this alleged Chinese spy situation could be the tip of the iceberg. This could open up more drama on Andrew then. Is that where we're heading?
Absolutely. I think it is the tip of the iceberg. I mean, he's been scrounging money off people in the Middle East and Central Asia. We've, of course, got to have the scandal of his house, Sunning Hill, being sold for £3 million more than he was even asking for to one of the son-in-law of the president of Kazakhstan. I know about a lot of his business interests in these places, and when those stories come out, I think he's going to be complete toast. And I think the danger is he's going to bring the royal family down with him.
Bring the royal family down, Cameron?
It's tricky, isn't it? What else more can the king do? The late Queen had already stripped him of his honorary military titles and patronages. He's obviously no longer a working member of the royal family. Yes, he's still living in this 30-odd room mansion, Royal Lodge, in Windsor, but that's a contract he has with the Crown Estate rather than King Charles. Unless the royal family publicly ban him from every private Windsor event, I don't see what else they can do, because they can't really force him out of Royal Lodge, because, as you say, there are reports and he has money coming in from somewhere to allow him to stay in Royal Lodge. So it's really tricky for the king.
Worth talking about that a little bit further, because we don't know where that money has come from for Royal Lodge. The palace say that they cannot scrutinise his income because he's a private individual. He's not taking any money officially, from the sovereign grant or getting any money from the king. How worried are we about this source of the money then? Talking about, as you were talking about, the fact that he has travelled around the world and he has links to certain people that are now coming into the news that are very suspicious.
Well, I mean, he has some trust income, which the royal family would know about. But I think he is taking money from various people in the Middle East and Central Asia and in China. He's taking commissions off deals. He's been doing that for 20 years. I know of several cases, diplomatic incidents were hushed up of him trying to scrounge money off various rulers in the Middle East and elsewhere. So, the fact is we know nothing about his finances. He operates through frontmen like Dominic Hampshire, the man who's involved with this Chinese businessman. But he also he disguises his identity in companies. He sets up a whole series of dormant companies where he can disguise the transactions going through them. And his ex-wife is exactly the same. We had a case recently in the High Court, a man called Salman Turk, and it was revealed that £1.5 million had gone into the Yorks' various bank accounts, including one of the daughters, which they weren't able to explain. I think there are a lot of very big questions about where they're earning their money.
You're painting a very scary picture that could develop over the next couple of years for Andrew. What does he do? Should he come out and face this down? Should he just basically say, as he's told the palace, the money that I've got for Royal Lodge is legitimate, don't worry about it, it's fine? Should he open up and tell us?
No, I think we need to have a whole series of things. We need to have a register of royal interests, which was explored several years ago, like the parliamentary register.
Can you explain what that means?
Register of royal interests would be they would have to declare, in fact, their business activities, who had given them. There was meant to be a list of royal gifts, but that's not actually followed. One of the ways that Andrew's paid is in gifts, and indeed members of his family are paid in gifts. But we also need, I think, to have royal wills unsealed, so that we know how the wealth is passed down through the generations. And I think we need a real investigation, probably by a parliamentary committee, into actually what happened when he was special representative. I know, talking to diplomats, there were some very shocking episodes that went on. He's been protected then by the diplomats, and he's been protected now.
What this scandal has done is highlighted the issue of transparency when it comes to members of the royal family, because a lot of their finances are secret. And I think the palace would probably argue that they publish the sovereign grant report every year. They publish the duchies of Cornwall and Lancaster as well. But of course, there are other members of the royal family, working or not, who do somehow get paid. And as you say, there is no transparency in that. But the other question is, do the public actually care how much how the royal family are funded, or should they care?
But if it's private income, sorry, I mean, I don't want to, we don't know our private income. We don't share that in public.
The question is, this is income that's made off the back of them being royals. We've had this man called Johnny Hon, this Chinese businessman who's been paying Peter and Zara Phillips as brand ambassadors. Well, we need to know, and he's not paying them because they're Joe Bloggs, he's paying them because they're members of the royal family. So we have the case with Prince Michael of Kent, who's been caught trying to sell access to some of the Russians, particularly the circle around Putin. So they're utilising their royal position to make money personally. That's the question. It's not their private things. I mean, there are plenty of members of the royal family who have shares and run businesses. That absolutely should be private. It's where they're using their royal position for their own personal gain. And that's the big thing with Andrew. And indeed, I have to say, with his ex-wife, she may no longer be a royal, but she's been basically utilising that role, particularly in the States, as the Duchess of York and as someone living at Royal Lodge for 40 years now.
I mean, you're worrying me, to be honest, Andrew. I thought Prince Andrew's scandals were kind of in the past. Epstein, obviously he's dead now, and that he's paid the money out to Virginia Giuffre. The royal family are trying to look to the future at the moment, aren't they? They're looking to be optimistic and go to in the new year. Well, now the King's recovering from cancer, the Princess of Wales. They should be looking positively, but it doesn't appear that the scandals are going away.
Yeah, and Harry and Meghan, for example, have also been accused of capitalising on their royal titles as well. But all of the royals we've discussed so far this show, in terms of how are they being funded, are the so-called royal hangers-on, the non-kind of working royals, because the King, Prince William, and their spouses are pretty transparent, I would argue. But it is this question about those who don't have an official role with members of the royal family. And we've been led to believe that King Charles wants a much more slimmed down monarchy, but like it or not, they are still members of his family. And because they have that connection with the king, with the monarchy, with them, they are going to have that privilege in terms of people are going to be interested to do deals with them or do marketing or have marketing opportunities with them because they have that status.